Waffles on the check-in, and I told y'all I got some of the best to sit down with me, and I feel honored. It is a pleasure today for this interview. I'm gonna need y'all to tell a friend to make sure y'all tune in for this. If y'all don't see it live now, y'all might want to check the recap. But I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
Hi, I am Chrissy Shorter Arnold. Just moved to Atlanta to pursue some things. I'm hosting a show called Unveiled, but we talk about some other things on today.
Okay, so I'm like, where do we start? All right, let's talk about how did you become, the growing up for you.
Okay.
Just explain, tell us the growing up.
Okay, so let me try and make it as short as possible.
Oh, we got all day. We got all day. Take your time.
Okay, so in 1978, I was born a 10-pound baby who actually was born Frank Breach with my behind came before anything.
Okay.
My legs and my head was together.
Okay.
My parents was told I was gonna be a boy.
Okay.
I had the genitalia of a boy, but the chromosome pattern of a girl.
Wow.
And so for me growing up, they tried to raise me as a boy based on the genitalia and not necessarily who I was as a person.
Mm-hmm.
So it was definitely rough trying to be reared and raised something I totally wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 3 brothers and 1 sister. I'm the second oldest. 1 older brother, then me,
Mm-hmm.
and then 3 up under me. But yeah, I'm from Quincy, Florida, a small town outside of Tallahassee. And it was rough. I've always known that I was a woman,
Mm-hmm.
so it was never a question to me. But once I hit kindergarten, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
then it started being, people start to tell me I was different. I didn't know. I don't think that kids know until people start telling them.
So let me ask you this, what's your mentality like when you going through those phases, maybe let's say junior high school, when you know the difference of okay, cool, everybody's knowing that your name is Christopher, but Chrissy is really what you're thinking in your head. How do you deal with that on a day-to-day basis to be hey, this is what people see and feel, but this is what I see and feel?
Oh God, that was rough. It was extremely rough because like I said, I have 3 brothers, so I was being reared to act like them and emulate them.
Right.
So to emulate them and neglect myself, I was absolutely lost.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, I would never utter the words that I like men,
Mm-hmm.
but it was the football players, the popular guys that came to me. I never had to approach a guy.
Wow.
So I was
right. We both okay. Right.
Listen, that's the thing. In today's society, people always say you fooled them. No, men know what they want. Either they want it or they don't.
100%.
Now they may not be able to live it openly, but they know what they want because it was even my first sexual experience was introduced to me by the guy coming to me. I was just as confused because all I knew is I was a woman.
Right.
And they was telling me that I wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't understand that. So being in high school, that was rough. I was very popular, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Any organization that I ran for, I was either president, vice president, any extracurricular activities like homecoming, king, and all of that stuff. I won all that.
So were you So let me ask you this: were you during those periods of school, were you transitioning or still as Christopher? Or you just went to Chrissy and was this is?
No, I wasn't allowed to transition. We wasn't even going to talk about that.
Wow.
I was Christopher as long as, and my parents did the best they could,
Mm-hmm.
based on what they knew. But as long as, of course, my mother was single mother, so she raised me. But as long as I was in her house, I was going to do what she said. And so, I was always chastised about, why you like to be with the girls? And you're not girl, and why you're so feminine and that. So it was difficult because I couldn't express that around them. When I would go out of town or be away from my family,
Mm-hmm.
I would express it then, but I couldn't around. To be honest with you, I'm 43 today.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to live fully as woman, I think I was about 28.
Okay.
But I didn't fully transition because I didn't understand everything that was going on with my body with having Klinefelters.
Mhm.
So as I got older and start to research more, I didn't really transition until to have the surgery. I was living full time, but I had the surgery 2 years ago.
I don't think people would really understand what that is to deal with that, because I even thought about it for myself. Like, if you actually see this and this is the way that I feel, it's like those pressures of my peers and just the pressures of society would just set on me mentally. Because I'm a thinker, I'm a second guesser. So I was just wondering, like, you're definitely a strong person. I want to tip my hat off to you for that, because a lot of people wouldn't even know how to deal with that, because that would just make them, it'd probably drive them crazy.
Well, and it almost did. I have 6 suicide attempts under my belt.
Mhm.
I was actually pronounced dead the last attempt.
Mhm.
And I often parallel that to me growing into who I am now. I say when I rose from that,
Mhm.
that person stayed dead. The person that needed the validation, even from my family,
Mhm.
because the hardest part was the family. I didn't really care about what the outside world thought. It was the family. It was my parents and what they thought. But yes, my first suicide attempt I was 18.
Mhm.
I think the second one I was 21, so forth and so on. Every couple of years it was always something.
Do you why did you get to those points? Like, because like when you got to think about it. If you did it once and you're like, all right, you're not successful, and then you're like, changing your patterns, and then what's the thing that makes you spiral like down into that a place that you're aware, like, okay, I don't want to be here anymore. Like,
okay, so
because it's multiple times, so I'm just
right.
like, how does, like, what point do you get? Because it seems like you would better yourself for like 2 years, and then it's like you get to that dark space, and then it's like you want to do these things again.
Well, I would say throughout the years, even though it appeared that I was growing, I necessarily wasn't. I was always stagnated, because what I was growing into is doing more and more of what was being asked and requested of me to act this way, act that way, and then the realization would hit me, I'm not happy. And my thing was, if I can't be happy, why be here? And so that was the biggest thing with me. The realization was, like for instance, we was having a housewarming party.
Okay.
With me, I would buy things, and I always been an overachiever, because those things was being substituted for my subsequent happiness.
Right.
And so I was filling my life with material. So I bought my first house when I was 18.
Okay.
And I think we was at my second house. The second one, I think I was 21. And we was actually having a barbecue. I don't know if it was a housewarming party, but it was a barbecue. It was way back in, I think, 2002. And my brothers was there with their women. My sister was there with her man. And my mother was there, and we was having a good time.
Right.
I walked in my room at my house, and instantly the depression hit me to the point to where instantly started playing on my mind. Everybody happy except you.
Wow.
My sister is sitting in her man lap. My brothers, old ladies, are sitting in their laps. Everybody laughing. Everybody is happy, but you can't invite the person over that you want. So it would be situations like that,
right,
where I would have to watch them be happy while I was suffering.
So why did you want to keep that apart from your family? Like, why did?
Because they didn't accept it. It was very vocal. My family was very vocal about, well, if you catch AIDS and die, then you're gonna die by yourself, and you could be with 100 women, but not one man. It was very vocal, and like I said, I had 3 brothers and 1 sister, so the masculinity, all of that macho, stuff around me, it was difficult trying to measure up to their opinion of me.
How long did it take for them to kind of come over and kind of understand, come into the light, what might I say, and really understand and take you for who you are and what it is that you really want to do in life?
I think that the day that everybody got it, my mother's in 2008, my mother's passed, and we was getting ready to go to her funeral. That was the first time I got my hair done. I had an afro, and I actually got a shortcut,
Right.
and I came to the funeral, and I was like, excuse my French, I was like, I don't give a damn what nobody think.
Right.
I don't care what y'all feel. This is what it is, and I don't want to hear nothing from nobody, or we gonna fight. Once I was forceful,
right,
and this is what it's gonna be, and this is who I am, then honestly, my family still had their opinions and still didn't like it, but they just jumped on the bandwagon. I was like, all these years,
that's all.
And all I had to do was put my foot down.
Just be a little aggressive.
That's it.
That's crazy. So now, all right. So during that point, now they actually understand what's going on and how you're going to operate from here on out, even though you were operating in that faculty. Like, tell me what starts to go on in your life after that.
Well, they accepted it. I started to get my nails done every day. I'm not every week.
Right.
Every week,
Right.
hair.
Right.
So I was late. I was putting the females on the door.
Okay.
You hear me? And so, you know, my brother was like, I don't understand it, but if you're gonna do it, do it.
Right.
And this is the way to do it. And so I transitioned in spells. So I started to do little stuff like my eyebrows. I could never get them right arching, so I got them tattooed. Permanent makeup.
You're just like my sister. She can't ever get her stuff done.
Well, I couldn't get
I
them.
forgot she was here. Okay.
So yeah, that's what I started to do. Like in spells, I started to transition. I didn't do it all at one time. And to be honest with you, I went to federal prison.
Okay.
Because I was still dibbling and dabbling. I was still acting like I was really, really happy, but I was struggling mentally.
Okay.
I was still struggling. You know how you can walk in the crowd and be acting confident, but you really, you know, like you have some men with the small man complex.
Right.
You know, some men with,
Yeah,
some that cannot be around gays because they think that they all like them. No, that's something you're projecting. But you know, all of that, I struggled with it because just because the family said, okay, well, that's what you're going to do, does not mean that overnight you know, your family not your only influence. So you still got to deal with society. You still got to deal with the judgmental women who say, well, you trying to fool the men.
Right.
No, baby, I'm not. He hollering at me. You know what I'm saying? But
it's just happening.
yeah, so I just started transition, but down to the conference, I did not find out that I had that condition until I was in federal prison.
Right.
I was actually sitting in the child hall eating, and I started lactating. I just thought I was fat.
Right.
I didn't know that I had real breast tissue, or as some would call it, gynecomastia. And the guy that was sitting across from me said, your titties leaking milk. And I looked down and my whole shirt was wet.
Wow.
And then they got the officers and they put all of the officers around me, they have a little cart that they drive, and then they put me on it and took me to medical, and then they went and bought a pump and started pumping the breast so that they can actually test the milk.
Right.
And that's when I actually had the test, the blood test. There's a blood test, and that's when it was revealed to me that I had Klinefelter syndrome. For 39, 40 years, I never knew that there was an answer.
So, all right. So now let me ask you this. So that you have this, were you supposed to be there then? Or are you still supposed to be in the male prison then?
Oh, not necessarily, and that's another thing. I'm still fighting them. I got released Valentine's Day 2019.
Okay.
They did not have a comprehensive policy for transgenders, especially those that was outwardly female.
Right.
They did not have that. So I was housed. So you can imagine walking on a compound full of 1,000 men that never see a woman, and I got to be there with you and sleeping beside you. So yes, I had to walk the compound openly, female.
And see, this is the thing, and it's like you're in a federal prison, so it's like federal prison is like a different type of action. Like
It is.
we get the county, the feds is like these are like people that they've really done something, and 90% of the time they've done what they did because the feds ain't coming to get you if they ain't got nothing on you.
Right.
So when they come to get you, whatever it is gonna be. So I could just imagine that's a different type of situation.
Yes.
How was that for you? Like that period of incarceration. How long were you there?
8 years.
See?
Yes. For tax fraud.
Oh, because because it was, Chrissy, when I pulled up your paperwork, right, it was like an Instagram scroll, and I was just
I bet.
this was like, it was just like, I was just like,
And I'm gonna tell you
I didn't
why.
even know I wanted to read it because it was like charges. It was like Chrissy had a little bit of action going on.
Well, and I tell you why. What with white collar, it's
Right.
just one little incident that
Right.
they'll give you 50 counts for.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
they'll give you wire fraud, they'll give you conspiracy to commit wire fraud, they'll give you mail fraud, conspiracy to commit mail fraud. It's the same incident,
Right.
just different counts.
'Cause they wanna
So
get
that's, yeah, so it probably will roll from here to this wall, but it was that incident. But I've done county jail time, I've done state prison time, and then I did Fed as well. So I do have a record, but it was all in white collar stuff that, you know, when white people detect fraud, they pay a fine.
Right.
And black people do it, they get locked up.
A little bit of time.
You know, that's what happened with that.
Okay, so tell me what did that place do for you, like mentally? Like how did it better you? Because we already know, like we can sit here and talk about all the negative stuff that happened within that time frame. Tell me what the positives that came out of being incarcerated.
Well, when I went to federal prison, I was at a point in my life where I was already living full-time as a female.
Okay.
I had not had the transition, but my driver's license and all of that stuff reflected my outward appearance as female. So I walked into federal prison more confident than any of the other little bits that I had done. So I knew who I was. So going into it, I began to study their policy. They're called program statements, and I believe that anything that governs you, you need to study it. You need to live it so that you will adequately be able to survive in the system. Mind you, in the 90s, 97, 98, I was a correctional officer in a female's prison before I ever got in trouble. Right. And so therefore, I knew the system from an officer perspective and from an inmate perspective.
So you had an up one up. Wait, hold on, wait a minute.
Yes, I did.
So Chrissy knew what the hell was going on.
Yes, I did.
Wow.
So they knew it was going to be hell when I walked in the door. Because they knew that I knew how to use the policy. You don't educate somebody on a system and then incarcerate them in that system.
Wow.
So I became a freedom fighter when I walked in Fed. I would tell the officers, listen, this is what I learned, the program statements where I could quote them back to back. This is what governs you. This is what governs that. This is what. So I was very feared as an inmate within the federal system.
Right. That's dangerous. So you was raising a little.
I was, and that's why,
right.
like I said, one of the positives that came out of that, when I walked in federal prison, they had no policy for transgender inmates.
Wow.
They had no consistent policy across the board where the staff knew how to house and protect someone like me. They just didn't. Each institution was just doing their own thing. But I began to fight. When I was in there, President Obama, I started to write them up left and right. I was like, this is not safe. No transgender should actually be in an open sleeping area where while you sleep you can't defend yourself. The officers in the officer station. And so my thing was fighting for safety. If you're gonna house them there, make sure you put them in a place that can lock. You know, a door that can lock, where they actually be able to get the adequate rest. So I began to write the White House. I still have letters now where I would write directly to President Obama, but Loretta Lynch's office would write me back about certain things. If it was mold in the institution, I got the mold. I got the screw. I said, give me the mold, and I actually mailed it to the EPA. I mailed it to the health department, local health department. I mailed it to the White House. I mailed copies because the institution, the officers are known to lie. They'll say, we don't have no mold in this dorm. And so I said, well, where, as a confined inmate, did I get this from? It came out of the dorm. We are breathing in black mold. So I would make them gut the whole dorm and redo the dorm and redo the air filtration system for me writing.
Chris, you was on a roll.
I was on a roll. We got a transgender policy. I taught in education. I taught personal finance. I actually run a credit repair business now, doing very well. But I taught that. And then I worked in Unicore. I worked in Unicore is a factory. Everybody get paid. So I was a payroll clerk in Unicore. So I actually...
After all the stuff that you do?
Yes, they need somebody that could do it.
Jesus.
Yes. Listen, I even met Bernie Madoff in traveling, and he was in there, and he was the same thing, and he was scamming in there before he died. But yeah, so...
Shout out to Bernie.
I educated them on personal finance, on their credit. Most dudes that get locked up, everything that they got is in somebody else's name.
I agree with you on that.
And when they get out, they have nothing. So, you know, I taught personal finance, and we had a strong, I had the largest class in the bureau. The class will only hold 34 people. But I had each quarter I taught 8,500, and they would actually stand out the door, and you know, this would be the window, and they would actually be looking in the window. It was so intriguing. The staff came to me and asked me to give them one of my packets. 12 weeks. The course is 12 weeks.
Wow.
Give them one of the packets so that they can actually give to the staff. So they photocopied the packet and gave it to the staff, because federal officers are also they have to keep their credit good. So in between their 5 years, some of them get it messed up. So they would actually photocopy the packets and give it to the staff that was having these type of issues.
Well, I guess I need, maybe we would do some remodeling around this month. We need to get our credit together.
Your credit probably good.
Yeah, a little something. I know y'all credit good the way y'all rolling there. Check out. It's rolling. All right, so let's get to one of the most exciting parts that I wanted to know about. Tell me about this wedding. Like how does that happen? You know, I want to you hear it for the goods. I don't care what they interview you after this and talk to you about. This is what we need to talk about. They can have it after this.
So I met my husband at Miami FCI.
Okay.
In 2016.
Okay.
And that's the time that I actually went through having the lumps removed from my breast because of the client fitness and all of that. I had multiple surgeries, outpatient surgeries. They would take me in shackles. I would have surgery, come back to the institution. The strongest thing they could give me for the pain was Tylenol. Wow. So my husband would actually, the officers would call over to his dorm. They would not let us stay together because we was a known couple. So they would call to the dorm, call him to come over and take care of me.
So how did you deal with that part? Like once everybody found out that y'all were together?
Because we were trying to hide it. But we was together every day. And so he didn't want to be separated from me, and I didn't want to be separated from him. And so they would start asking questions like, why y'all hanging together? We said, shit, you ask everybody else why they hanging together? We just chilling. Right. We just hanging out. But we would never admit it. Right. But, you know, it was difficult because it would have made my life more simple because he was well respected on the compound. So dude stayed out of my way and stayed out of my face, you know. And so if he was housed in there with me, it would have been a little bit easier. But they were so scared we was gonna have sex. Well, we was doing that anyway, so it wasn't nothing they could stop. Yeah. But
that's what happens.
I mean, really.
Right.
But the thing was, I left. I came home Valentine's Day 2019, so I had to leave him. So we were both about to cry. But anyway, since I've been home, every day we have talked. Every day. Email, phone, all of it. And so I put in a request. I was on probation. Okay. I was on supervised release. I didn't apply for visitation or anything like that because I knew they was going to use that against me, even though their policy is that that's not the only determining factor. But I knew it was going to be used against me because I'm hated. I'm still suing the Bureau of Prisons. Okay. And have some settlement stuff going on at this point. And so I knew. So with Fed I had 3 years. So the policy is if you do half of it good, then you can ask for early termination. Okay. So the first 18 months I asked, they said no. They said no because I had applied for my passport and they said I didn't tell them. And so they denied it. Okay. So then I forced them out and started writing them up about that because I didn't know that I had to tell you that I was applying for the passport that requires a thorough background check. Right. And so I applied that next 6 months. So in 24 months, the judge actually let me off. He said, I have a business. I'm doing well with that. I'm educating the community. I have a scholarship fund where I'm giving out scholarships to local students. So all of that I was able to put in my request to terminate early. And so I was terminated early. So once I terminated probation early, the prison could no longer use that against me. So I applied to visit him, and they never responded. So then I wrote them a letter. Their policy says that they have to have a letter stating that I wanted to marry him. So we came into agreement we was going to get married. Me as immediate family, then they would have to grant me visitation rights.
So you was ready for the marriage though?
I was ready.
Okay.
I was ready the day I met him.
Oh.
You know.
Bless your little heart. Bless your little heart. All right. So you all right. So you was ready to lock in. So now tell me what happens after.
Okay. So they denied. They wouldn't respond. So what I did was I wrote the central office and I said, can you all respond to my request to visit my common-law husband? And I said, we've been together long enough, we common-law. So then, yes, I said. So
you once again, you just make the rules.
Right. Well, I'm from Florida, he from Georgia, and both of them recognize common law.
Got you.
So, and so they responded. His unit manager called me and said, well, we denied it. We denied it because you lied, you didn't tell us you was an ex-inmate. I said, well, I have a copy of everything I sent you. Not only did I tell you I was an ex-inmate, but you all are well aware of that because I was transferred from that institution after being there 11 days because of being related to one of the officers. I said, you all have it in your system, you all know. And I said, and I did my own background check and attached it to the policy so that you all wouldn't say that I left off any of my charges.
Right.
So I said I did everything in my power. My name had been changed. I sent my updated driver's license. I sent the letter showing that I had fully transitioned. I sent everything. My updated birth certificate. I sent all of that to show it so that they wouldn't have any stuff to complain about. And yet they did it. So what they did call me and told me they was denying they weren't gonna let me in the institution. I said, okay, that's fine. But I have a 14th Amendment right to marry whoever I want to marry. Equal protection under the laws. And I said, so I'll just sue you. And that's what I did. I filed suit in federal court. Once I filed suit in federal court, I called the clerk of courts in Sumter County. And they're one of the only ones where both parties does not have to be there. And so I went in and I did the paperwork. I explained that he was at the institution. They told me, you know, how to handle it. And I got the paperwork, sent it to him. He notarized his part. It took 3 months for that. He notarized his part, and then I took it back to them. They gave me the paper. I had 60 days, and I filed, you know, the lawsuit filed for injunction. I said if we're not married by this date, which was November the 28th, it expired, and I got to start the process over again. I said that's irreparable harm, and I want the courts to intervene. Okay, so but the course wasn't moving fast enough. So what I did was I got a notary in Florida. In Florida, a notary can notarize someone's signature. Well, she didn't have to notarize his signature. She just needed to verify that he was the one that I was actually marrying. And because the one that notarized it personally knows him, like she personally knows me, she could verify that it was his voice. So we had a telephonic wedding. He called, I had everybody assembled, I had the witnesses, I had the notary. We did our vows, the notary did the vows, we did the vows, and she married us. And so then I got the notarized paperwork and I drove back to Sumter County, gave it to them, and they said, okay, so you're legally married, and they gave me my certificate. And then the news been writing about it. You know, a lot of news contacted me and they've been writing about it. And so we married now. So the U.S. attorney contacted me and they said, will you drop this? I said, I'm not going to drop it. I've asked for declaratory judgment. I want the judge to declare that our marriage is legal under Florida law. That way y'all would not be able to keep me from seeing my husband.
Right.
So she said, well, you got what you wanted. You wanted to be married and y'all are married. I said, if I drop it, then I apply for visitation. You all gonna still question my marriage. But if you submit your request to dismiss it based on us being married legally under Florida law, then you're validating the marriage. I said, so go ahead. So then, if the judge grant that, I'm gonna apply for visitation. And then if they deny it, then now we got a 14th and a 5th Amendment lawsuit that I'm gonna file again. So
So with all that being said, we still can't get to see him yet.
Not yet. I still have to apply.
All right. So tell us about this podcast that you're starting that had like 3,000. We're gonna speak it into existence.
So let's speak it.
Yeah, 3 million.
Let's speak it.
Viewers, tell us about this podcast that you created.
Okay, so me and my team created a podcast called Unveil, simply because ain't no holds barred. I'm an open book. There's nothing for me to hide from anybody. I feel like for the vast majority of my life I've hid. But we're using this platform to entertain and also educate. Mental health is going to be a big focus of the podcast, because mental health almost, my issues with my mental health almost took me down. And the thing is, our community, we don't talk about it. Even the ones that make it out never really testify about it. Like today, when I tell people my story, they look at me and say, "You went through all that?" They say, "Yes, honey," and I don't look like what I've been through. So we want to use that platform to educate, and open some more doors, not only for for me, but other people that may be struggling, and provide hope like somebody did for me.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because we're actually working with the Greenberger nonprofit, and we're doing something with kids with mental illness as well. Shout out to my friend Gus. Was incarcerated for like 20 years now. He's working with Mr. Greenberger on Wall Street. He's a billionaire, and now we're actually working with him and putting together a process for kids, a curriculum, like a 12-week curriculum to teach them about mental health, illness, and music, and how it correlates.
Okay.
So we definitely understand like how big mental health illness is, and that's what I was thinking. Like when I was watching the podcast, like the setup before you ran the podcast, I just thought it was gonna be over the top. Because I seen the lead up, you know what I mean, like how y'all had furs on it.
Oh my goodness.
it was elaborate. Yeah. So shout out to Dream Lab for it was just a lot. I was like, okay, so I didn't know what to expect, and then when you sat down with your co-host in the background, I was like, Chrissy's like calm, like why is this like so calm? But then when you started to talk about the mental illness, then it was like I really got a chance to sit back and really understand where you're going with this. So I definitely want to tip my hat off to you for that. I just feel like nobody's doing what you're doing right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't think they're really attacking it the way that you are. You really have a lot to talk about. So I definitely want to tip my hat off to you to that. Tell me, like, what was your thought process like after the show? Like y'all wrapped it, you was like, they told you like how many people actually watched you?
I was happy. To be honest with you, I'm comfortable with it because I got practice from doing my Facebook Live for my credit repair business. Okay. I would often go on there and talk about the process and different things with that. So I was comfortable. And I'm actually comfortable talking about what I've been through. So it's not like foreign for me, but I was really happy for that to be our first show. I'm really happy that we are being taken seriously. This is not some play stuff. I'm very serious about anything that I get into. I won't let them say crime was the best thing that I ever did. So no, that's not gonna happen. So, but yeah, I'm very, 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 very happy. My mother, when I called her, she was on the phone. She was screaming, hollering. She's like, "I loved it," and I was like, "And we working things out, so the best is yet to come." So I was really, really, really happy. I started to get testimonials in my inbox as well about my openness and willingness to share what I've been through. And it's providing a light for people that's in a dark place at this time. So I'm really happy.
Definitely. So what else can we expect coming from you? Besides that, because I'm excited about this podcast, because I think that you're gonna do really, really good when this gets to like maybe like episode like 7, 8, 9. Then you get the DJ in the background and be like, Waffles, I want to hire you because my money long and train smoking. We got to touch it for you.
Okay.
I'm like, hey, why not? But what's next for you?
I don't know. I know we going full steam ahead with the podcast. I don't want to open so many doors at one time to where I'm not focused, on giving my best self concerning this. Hopefully, and I tell you what my goal is. I don't know actually what's next, but my goal is I'm going to TV. I'm going to the nation. Okay. In some shape, form, or fashion. I would do something scripted, but I really do like reality because I don't like all the fake stuff.
Right.
I don't
I
like
see that.
Yeah, I I get them here. I get them right what they looking for. So, but they got to bring the check. They got to bring the right numbers, but I will give them right what they're looking for. All that good, clean fun, but and then I definitely want to do something like what you all doing, the kids. If we can get it early, and if we can get it ingrained in this generation that it's okay not to be okay,
Right.
and that men do reach out.
Mm-hmm.
We have men that are suffering with mental health issues, but he's being told he's a chump. He's being told that he's not a man because he expressed that, and that's not right.
Mm-hmm.
Little white kids can do it all day long in their families,
Mm-hmm.
but in our community, we gotta be so macho to the point where we don't get the help that we need, and hurt people hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
So a man that has not been groomed properly can't properly groom a boy.
So, all right, so let me ask you this. I know this is probably going to be wild and people are going to be like, what the hell? But I was just like, say for instance,
Mm-hmm.
would you have felt better if your parents were like Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union and accepted what their son did with their daughter and was like, I full-fledged with it at that time, like how you went through it as a younger person, and you were like, okay, cool, nobody's accepting it and I got to fight through this. Would you have wanted people like that around you, like your parents like that?
Yes, because hindsight is always 20/20. However, some of the mental issues, I don't know if people really understand it. That's why I express it. To be able to look at your parents and feel like you don't measure up, to feel like there is nothing you can do to satisfy your parents, that's hell.
Right.
And so, I if it had, my parents, been that accepting, and I know they're gonna watch it, so I don't want them to feel bad because they did the best that they can, and we're in a very good place now. But I encourage parents. I talk to a lot of people that inbox me about their kids that either are gay or transgender or something, that they see in them, and I always encourage them, be supportive and go get help. If you can't teach them what you don't know, and if a lot of times we go off of what we've been taught by our grandparents who was not really educated,
right.
And this, that, it's not that we're, the LGBT community is trying to cram anything down anybody's throat. We got a seat at the table as well.
Definitely.
And so at the end of the day is don't try to control your seat and mine as well. You're infringing on my ability. You're infringing on, my potential in my life. Just fall back. We don't have to agree on everything. You understand?
Right.
But fall back and stay out of my way. I can assure you, I'm going to stay out yours. So I think that parents should be accepting because they have the most influence on kids.
I agree with you 100%. There y'all have it. I just asked it. This is where I got this job. So listen, before we get out of here, let everybody know how they can follow you on social media, how they can get all the information about you, how they can support everything that you got going on before we get out of here.
Okay, so on Facebook, you all can follow me at Chrissy Shorter Arnold. I also have Chrissy Credit Master page. So I have two pages, Chrissy Shorter Arnold and Chrissy Credit Master. You can follow the Unveiled page at The Real Chrissy Shorter. At The Real Chrissy Shorter. That's the Unveiled page. We go live every Wednesday to shoot Unveiled from The Real Chrissy Shorter page. All of my other platforms, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, is Chrissy Shorter Arnold. So it's quite simple. Remember my first and both of my last names, Chrissy Shorter Arnold. Follow me, inbox me, book me. Let's go.
6 p.m. Wednesday tomorrow.
Yes, 6 p.m. Wednesday tomorrow. Be there, 6 p.m. sharp. We're going to have the Queen of Hustle as a guest co-host tomorrow.
Just say, this a drop.
Then Waffles is on the way soon. With that being said, so we got to make sure we air on Tuesday so this can drop on Wednesday. So listen, man, make sure y'all stay locked, man. Make sure y'all subscribe to the button below, man. Make sure y'all follow Chrissy now. 2 words. I'm going. Bye.